Dave Orton, and I thought I'd put together a few videos on some catamarans that I've recently seen, with the goal eventually in about 5 years, I would think, of retiring and don't tell my wife, sell one of the houses and buy a boat. My goal would be to circumnavigate the globe. Now, I can't do that alone, so I have a large job ahead of me in order to convince my beloved that this is a really good idea. She's adventurous, but she is a bit of a city girl, and so she's a Lagoon 55 and I'm a gunboat. And never the twain shall meet. And of course, we know most of the compromise will be on my side, both from the fact that I'd like to get on the water, don't want to be alone, and I need to be able to afford it. So, with that in mind, you can consider all of my comments. I'm far from an expert, don't pretend to be. I'm simply telling you what my impressions and thoughts were when I saw these vessels, with the back of my mind thinking, what would Sylvia like? What would Sylvia like? In my opinion, most boat builders should have a focus group on their team of about a dozen ladies between the age of 45 and 55, telling them what they can and cannot put on that boat and what they should have on that boat. Because let's face it, Phil Berman or Seth would already have my check deposited and be building my boat if it was up to me. I mean, I could sail off in a dinghy with a canvas sail. It's my wife you have to convince, because I can't go anywhere without her. So as part of my little series, one of my things is, again, given that this is my imaginary lifestyle, we have to have a wine pairing with each of our boats. And this week, what I've got is a lovely Cabernet Sauvignon from South Africa in honor of our guest boat, Graceland, with an Americanish name, but I am told that it is an outstanding cab. So I personally really do enjoy the New World wines, and I've always enjoyed the South Africans. Nice, rich, full-bodied. Again, I'm not a sommelier, but I do enjoy a good glass wherever I go. And so there'd have to be a wine cooler on board this boat. I have spotted an area for it. They don't offer one, but, oh, they do actually, but I can't give up the dishwasher, because again, the focus is to get my wife on the boat, and I don't like washing dishes, and she doesn't like washing dishes, so that dishwasher's got to be there. So I'm thinking there's a little spot for a nice vertical wine chiller there that'll work just fine. And so I'm imagining picking up my boat there in Cape Town and having Daniel from Leopard on board. Here's to you, Daniel. And sipping my wine as I launch out on my imaginary lifestyle with my lovely wife. Oh, yeah. Okay, well, let's get to it. Cheers. It really is not a bad looking boat, quite attractive in its own way. You can see here, thanks to the good folks from Catamaran Guru, a nice comparison of the four primary competitors in this space: the Valley 48, the Lagoon 50, the Fountain Peugeot 50, and the Leopard. And you can see their various cabin layouts. The Leopard is the longest and widest by a small margin, and the one we'll look at is the proper four-cabin version. I'm not going to dive through all these statistics. You folks know them. Those of you who are the deep sailing geeks probably have them off by heart. They don't mean an awful lot to me, so I won't really take a lot of time on it. The version I would get would be the owner's version, 3 cabin with that lovely space up front that you can turn into a utility room. So jumping on board, the first thing that I noticed here is you see under the cabin top, the bimini, how beautifully finished it is, and with little zipped up alcoves for the drop down shades. It has recessed lighting. I guess the key word here for me is finished. It's all finished. I was surprised at some of the other manufacturers when I looked up under the bimini top how I was staring at bare fiberglass that was basically the bottom side of the top. In this case, not so much. Now this particular model doesn't have that glorious dinghy platform that Lagoon is famous for on the 50, and that would certainly be something I'd look for. You can see that beautiful teak table they've got there. You know, my preference would be to have a nice varnish on it, and even the new owners that I was sitting there, the ones that actually bought this boat, had commented they should immediately do that, or else it would get various wine stains and whatnot on there. So good helm position. You know, you can walk up from the cockpit, you can walk up from the side decks, you can see your mast. And what's more, if we look here, you can immediately see your starboard bow, your port bow. You dip down a little bit, look underneath the bimini, and there's your port stern and your starboard stern. So all very visible and very easy to access. Now, here we were a little jammed up in traffic, but you've got an alternate way into the cockpit, and I managed to scoot in front of them. So down I go. The thing about the cockpit here, it is massive, and of course it opens right into this really comfortable salon. One thing I would have suggested to Leopard is the seats. Why is it that in sailboats it's like everything has to be minimalist? Look at these seats versus these seats. Why can't we put a little jazz to it? Same with the floor. I find it too linoleum-like. I'd like something that looks something like planking in a warmer color, and perhaps that is something for a luxury version that they have in vehicles. Now, here's your forward-facing nav station. It's a bit of a mystery to me why forward-facing nav stations are such a thing with Catamaran guys, when in a mono hull you're down below, you obviously can't see squat. But you get on a cat, you have to have it. Now, if you're going to have a nav station, why can't we have a seat like I just showed you that you have in some of the big cruisers and trawlers, where you can actually sit up, raise it up, and really have a comfortable spot if that's where you're going to keep watch, and that's what everybody keeps talking about. One thing I'd also recommend is they had some beautiful indirect lighting. I would put some under the lip of the countertop and under the bottom lip of the cabinet space, creating 3 layers of indirect lighting. One in the upper ceiling, under the countertop, and below the cabinet space. And I think it would look incredibly elegant, and if you could shift that to a red light for night, that would be even better. That front cockpit, you can't say enough about it. Everybody talks about it. It's not something that should be ignored, and you're seeing it on more and more performance cats, from the Naisna to the new Max Cruise 48 and 55, even the MC 55, McConaughey has got it. Down below in the guest cabins, very comfortable. Love the carpet on the floor. I know real sailors poo-poo the carpet, but man, it sure made it comfy cozy. This is the actual port bow cabinet or cabin that would be turned into your utility room. Now, nice touches like this fabric on the wall panels. I really did like it. They jazzed this up, and of course they've got their new color of wood finish, which I feel is warmer. It could do with a touch more warmth to the wood. Leopard seems to prefer that sort of bleached wood, whether it was the light or this darker one with that sort of bleached wood finish. Not my favorite, but it's a good step forward. The aft cabin, really comfortable, beautiful indirect lighting, lots of storage. That's the other thing. You really do have some great storage in this boat. So I could see myself, again, this is my imaginary lifestyle. I've got to have room to hang my tux for those Monaco game nights, right? Isn't that the imaginary lifestyle? So how can you have a boat without enough room to hang it? Then down into the owner cabin. Nice finish on the steps. I always look down on the steps because they either look cheesy or they look good. And this with that polished stainless on the step really does look nice. The pop-up TV is good there. The bed. Now here's one thing. These beds, why can't you do what they do in pickup beds like this with a slide out so that I can get to the head of the bed to make the bed properly without crawling all over it? Some trawlers actually have that capability where the bed is tucked into the bow and you can actually pull it out, tuck your head of your bed in, slide it back in. I know it sounds anal retentive, but I want my bed to look like that when my guests come by. I don't want it to look like I just crawled out over it and down and can't tuck the top in. So that's another thought there. The head, really nice. Could do with 2 sinks, but I guess I wouldn't sacrifice that counter space knowing what my beloved has on that counter. I'd probably just hustle over to the other side of the boat and have a bathroom to myself. Given that, again, the reality of having guests on board is a lot less frequent than everybody seems to dream it will be. That's the, again, imaginary lifestyle, as my dear sister would say. Into the starboard forward cabin, the VIP suite. Really nice. Again, could use that slide out idea so that you can get to the head of the bed and make it real pretty, just like this one is, without crawling all over it. And nice indirect lighting, lots of storage under the bed, and the front head is really, really nice. Probably where I would have my man head there, so that my stuff could fit somewhere. There might be just enough for my shaver and a couple of odds and sods that I have in comparison to the veritable pharmaceutical that would be in the other bathroom. So coming back up again, that flooring, you can see, I would really love to see something with a bit of texture, a bit of warmth, and if you could do some indirect lighting underneath the seats, that would be even better. This, again, we've already mentioned that how spacious this cockpit is. It really is fantastic and beautifully finished. Again, underneath the ceiling of that with indirect lighting, it looks really, really, really good. The side deck's really comfortable, easy access on and off, and once you have that that lift platform at the back, you are definitely good to go. The recessed hatches or flush mount hatches, very, very comfortable, very nice on underfoot. I might be tempted to extend the flexi teak all the way up to the front. Some do, some don't. I do like it underfoot on my current ski boat, so I probably would, and it looks pretty good too. But gosh, there's a lot of space up here, very comfortable. I'd be tempted to put an electric furler and a secondary sail there with an electric furler on it as well, and maybe what's the word I'm looking for? I'll think of it when I'm not. Drifter sail, that's what I'm looking for. That could furl up so I don't have to hustle things up and down. As you can tell, I'm all about the comfort. When you hit 60, it's all about the comfort, folks. It's not about the speed. This upper deck is just fabulous. And I know poo-pooed again because of weight, windage, boom height, blah, blah, blah. but it's awesome. And look right down to these beautiful pop-up lights, give you a little ambiance at night when it's cooler. That's probably the only time you'd ever be up there, given the heat. But you could work up a cover for that as well. I've spoken to several folks as I was leaving the show, performance and cruiser sales people. Some of them had like a Neil 51, and they'd owned performance boats before that, and they said, look, that upper lounge is where everybody gathers. So we're just about at the end of the tour here, and you can see the final helm. We'll make our final way down the starboard side onto the aft deck. You can see the nice sugar scoops and the easy way down there, and make our way through one last pan. Again, look at the indirect lighting and that finished ceiling, really nice. And that is the Leopard 50. Do hope you've enjoyed it. So that was the Leopard 50. There's a couple of boats, well, there were 3 boats that really stuck out to me, and I videoed about 36 of them. The Leopard 50 stuck out as I could get my wife on that one, and it is so livable. That front cockpit covered, and the only one that is covered, with a retractable sunshade there as well. If you're med-mooring, you've got that privacy. You go up there for your morning coffee. You're out of the sun, whether the sun's from the aft or the fore, you're covered. And then inside, you have a lot of space. I would probably replace that center table because, everybody talks about getting 10 people around a table and they stuff extra chairs. I can't even imagine 10 people on my boat. So 2, maybe 4. I don't need extra chairs. And in reality, 90% of the time I'll be eating out back or in the forward cockpit. So what I want is comfort and living space when I'm in the actual saloon. I would probably shrink that table up, get a high gloss leafed out table so that it drops down into a proper coffee table height between those seats, jazz up the seats. If I was Leopard, I would offer a luxury package similar to what all the cars do, and I'd have high gloss real wood tables in the cockpit, in the saloon, in the front cockpit, and on the upper deck. I'd have a higher grade of laminate flooring, and I would jazz up the upholstery as well as have those slide outs on the bed. And of course, I would throw in a bow thruster. Now I know everybody's throwing up their hands going, you don't need a bow thruster. Well, a cruising cat like that has a lot of windage, and I don't need stress. That's not why I'm retiring and going and doing this stuff. So I'd have a bow thruster, and I would have it tied together with a dockmate or a yacht controller, where I don't have to worry about running down and back and forth or hollering at my wife or having radios on. I would call it the marriage saver, because once I get into the port, I simply turn on the remote. I have a handheld joystick. I wander down to whatever side I'm docking on, and I have full coordination of the bow thruster and the 2 engines in the rear to bring me full sideways if I want to. Bump me up against the mooring, hold me there while I gently hop off, put on the main lines, and my wife is enjoying a cocktail on the upper deck. She's happy, I'm happy, everybody's happy, we're all relaxed. I don't know why it isn't done more. Anyways, those are my thoughts. Anxious to hear any of your thoughts. Bearing in mind, folks, I'm not a die-hard sailor, I'm not a performance sailor, and this is to get my wife out on the water and make the dream happen. So if you have any thoughts, any advice, I'm more than happy to hear it and see it. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.